Hello friends, myself Fahim Hassan, and in today's video I'm going to teach you practically what are WebSockets, what is the difference between HTTP and WebSockets, how we can create a WebSocket in Node.js. So I will teach you practically, and in practical we will create a server in Node.js in which we will implement the WebSocket, and also then we create a web page, and then we can create a connection between our client and between our server. So without any delay, first let's understand the theory that what are WebSockets actually. So normally when we use web, generally what happened, suppose this is a client and this is a server. So a client send a request to server, and in the response server give a response. So for example, in YouTube, when you search for a video, you sent your query to the YouTube server, and in return it send you the list of available videos according to your query back to you. And if you are a WordPress developer, for instance, you are building a chat application, and if we will not use the WebSocket, so what normally we do in WordPress, we send request multiple number of times. For instance, we can use the set interval function. So this is a JavaScript function which can execute a code at a given number of time. So maybe we can set up 3 seconds, and after each second our client send a request to the server, and in the response that server check either new messages exist there or not. If exist, they send us the new messages, otherwise it send us a response that no new message. And this is how we try to build a real-time experience, but this is not too much professional, because even a client is not going to receive a message maybe until 2 hours, but still if the app is open, the client will send many hundred of requests even there is no update on the server. So here WebSockets comes in. So in a WebSocket, suppose this is our client, maybe client browser, let me type here IE, and here is our server. Let's name this Node.js server. Okay, so now initially what they will do, they will establish a connection between each other. So maybe client send a request to server, and in the server it will respond back, and initially they will make a connection between them. So now once the connection established successfully, what does it means? If server want to send a new message to client, it can send him to the browser, and browser can receive that. And even if browser want to send a message to the server, server can receive that. So now like in our HTTP request, there is no only necessity that each time a client will send a request and server will respond. No. So for example, if connection is established, maybe after 5 hours there is a message update or stock update on the server, it can directly send a message to our browser or maybe to our client, and client maybe share the live updates on the browser on the screen, for example. So let's suppose you are building a livestock application, and maybe after 5 hours there became an update in the livestocks. So then you have 5 clients or maybe 500 clients or maybe 5000 clients connected with you. The server can send message to all them and inform that this update has been made to the stock, so you can update to you as well. So basically this is the difference between a simple HTTP server and a WebSocket. So now next we are going to create a Node.js server from scratch, and in that we will implement the WebSocket, and then after that we will create a web page which will communicate with that Node.js server in the real time. So without any delay, let's start. So first of all, you can see that I have opened a folder in Visual Studio Code, and here make sure you have already npm package installed on your computer, and here I will type npm init and then -y. So once you will run this command, it will create a package.json with default configurations, like with the name of your project, with the default version, and with the main file name, this type of stuff. Okay, so the next thing is we need to create a index.js file, because here you can see that the main file for our server that will execute when we start the server is going to be index.js. Make sure you should include this file in the root directory as I did here. Next, here inside your package.json under scripts, you have to make some changes. You have to add a new command which is start and colon, and here you will type node index.js. So basically, by using this command, now once you will type npm start, actually we first of all we need to write the server code, but once you will run this command npm start, your server will get started. So that's it for this package.json. Now let me close this, and now we have to move on toward the index.js file. So now here, first of all, I will type const http is equal to, we need to require this package http. Then I'm going to create a server using this http. So I will type here http server, and here I will type here http dot create server request and response. Okay, here let me type here resource dot write head. So this is just an example. 200 and content type is equal to text plain. So basically this will be the head for the response. We are not going to send any JSON, we are going to send a plain text. So that's why we have defined our content type. And the next is response dot end hello from Node.js. So now basically this create server function which exists inside this, which we can access using this object, have two parameters. The first one is request and the second one is response. Now in the request, for example, if user is sending a get request and he is sending some other parameters, so we can access those parameters using this request object, and in response we use this object to send response to back. And with this response object we can call some methods like write head, and these methods are used for different purposes. Like write head used for defining how our response will be that we are going to send to our client, and the response end will be the message that we are going to send. Okay, so now in the end we need to let here, we have to listen to a port using this server. So server dot listen, and inside this I will type the port name 3000, and then here I will just console.log that server is running at http localhost colon 3000. Okay, and now I will put semicolon here. Now let me just go back here, and now I will execute this command, and let's see what happened. So you can see that server is running at http localhost colon 3000. So if I control click on it, you can see that we are accessing this URL and server is sending us this response, hello from Node.js. So we have set up a basic server, and now our client can send a request to that server and it is responding us back. But now in the real time we need to set up a WebSocket. So now we can attach WebSocket server to the same HTTP server that we have been created. To do that, first of all, I will clear up anything, and now you need to install a package. This is a famous package for WebSockets, which is npm install ws, which is an abbreviation of WebSocket. And now here you need to import a class from here, which is WebSocket is equal to require WebSocket, but now we need to get WebSocket server. So we need this class here. So I will copy this. Now let's attach, let me comment out here, attach WebSocket server to the same HTTP server. Okay, so now first of all what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a variable WebSocket server is equal to new, and here we need to use this class that we have imported from web server. So I will paste that here, and inside this as an object we need to pass our this server that we have created, right? And that's it. Okay, now after this there are some important callback functions. So let me show you. First of all, I will type here wss dot on, and inside this I will type connection. Okay, so once connection is established, we will receive a WebSocket object inside this, and now on this WebSocket we are going to implement some events. Okay, so first of all, if the connection will establish, what we are going to do, we will console log that client connected, and then we will send a message to our client that welcome to the WebSocket server, right? So this is the way. Each time you want to send message to your client back, you can send using this ws.send. Okay, so maybe this message can be sent upon a stock update on a database. Maybe if some new user has sent a message, then you can use this to send this message back to another client. So similarly, in simple way, you need to use this method to send a message back to the client. Okay, we will see that further. And now, for example, if it will receive a message from a client, so there is another method will be called, or event listener will be called, which is message. And here we will receive that message. And first of all, let me console log received message dot to string. We will convert that message that we received from our client, and then we will convert that to string and console log that. So this is just, we are writing here simple logic, but when you will build real-time applications, you will doing different operations using these event handlers. So for example, if someone send you a message, for example, you are building a chat application, and someone send you a message, then what you will do, instead of console.log, maybe you will receive this, you will first of all save this message to maybe MongoDB database, maybe MySQL database, and the second step will be maybe here you will send a message to the receiver, which is obviously another client. Okay, so that's this is how you will use WebSockets, so in real-time communications. And now you can see that once it will receive message, it will console that message, and at this moment what we can do, as I already told you, we will use w.send server echo, and here I will type message, and let me convert them to backticks so we can display this variable here. Okay, right? And next we are going to call another event which is ws.on and close. So this is once a connection will be closed. For example, client lost his internet connection, or he by himself closed his browser, or this type of events occurs. So once connection will be closed, this event will be called. And now maybe you can put different operations here. For example, if you are, let's take an example of chat application, and you are displaying that a person A is online to person B, but once the connection will be closed with person A, you can inform the other person that connection he is offline now. Okay, so this type of operations. And dot close, and obviously here we will have another callback function, which is here we will just console dot log client disconnected and semicolon. Okay, so that's it. We have set up our WebSocket from server side, and you can see the whole code. Now we will write a web page code where which will communicate with this WebSocket. Now to set up a web page, maybe we can create that index.html file in a separate folder. It is not necessary to create that file in a same folder. Okay, but as we are learning here, so I'm going to create that index.html file here in the same folder here. But obviously this is our server code. In real time you will write that front-end code in a separate folder, and this backend code here. But because at this moment we are on our computer, so we can directly open that index.html, so that's why I'm going to type here index.html. but let me repeat that this is not necessary. Here I will create a basic HTML structure, and here I will give the title to this like WebSocket test. Here I will create an h1 tag like WebSocket client. So basically this is our WebSocket client, and here I'm going to create a button, and I will give an ID to this, send, and send message. Let me give this ID to btn send message. Okay, and similarly I'm going to create a unordered list ID, and here let me give this ID to messages. That's it. And now here we need to write the actual part, which is our JavaScript part of our this WebSocket client. So now first of all, here we don't need to include anything because our browsers have built-in WebSocket API, so we are going to use that. So first of all, I will type here const socket is equal to new, then you will type WebSocket. So this is a browser API that we are using here, and in the double quotation, first of all you will type ws colon, okay, instead of HTTP you will type ws, because now we are not establishing a HTTP connection, we are establishing a WebSocket connection. Okay, let me type here localhost colon 3000. When we access this in a browser directly, we set up a HTTP like this, but now we will use here WebSocket, right? And basically this is the URL for our server, and this is the port on which our server is running actually on localhost. Okay, now similarly here we will have some messages like socket dot on open. So what it will do, connected to WebSocket server, and then let me type here another event listener, which is socket dot on message. So basically this is once it will receive a message from the server, right? Like in our server we use this ws.send message back, but now basically this event listener will be receive that message. So here let me type here on message is equal to event, and then this is a callback function basically. So here we will write some logic. We will create a list item is equal to document dot create element, and we will create a list item basically, and then inside that list item we will set the text, for example event dot data. So basically event dot data means the data we are receiving from the server, and in simply we will just document dot get element by ID, and we will get this messages here and push that list item that we have created here to our that URL, like in our unordered list, right? And now for example if someone click on this button, so we will send a message to our server. So simply I will type here document dot get element by ID. Here I will type the ID for our button, and dot on click is equal to, and here we will write the callback function, right? And here we will use socket dot send hello from the browser. Okay, so that's it. So we have done with our code now with the index.html. So now let's again first of all install our server. First of all let's run our server, and also we can open this in a browser. Okay, also let me open the console. It is giving us this error. Okay, so basically here we did a mistake actually. Let me cut this message from here, and inside this we will basically assign a callback function to this console dot log, and here this. Now again let me refresh this. Now you can see that connected to WebSocket server, and if I show you this console, you can see that first that was client connected, disconnected, but now again the client is connected. Let me open this in such a way so you can see the both. Okay, now what I'm going to do, first of all I'm going to send a message. You can see that it is console.log here hello from the browser. So our server received that message, and here you can see that first of all it received a message from the server, welcome to the server WebSocket server, the same message that we were sending here back. So this client received that message and sent that message to our list item, and now once we click on this button, it received a second message from our server which we were sending from here, server echo. Okay, now you can see that once I will again send that message, you can see that it is again our server is listening that here it is receiving that message and in the response back. And in the same way, maybe you can see that we are also sending back those messages upon two events. First, once the connection will be established, and the first one is when our client is sending back a message to our client. So now this is not only necessary that you can only send messages to these points only. Maybe I already told you you can send message upon when different events will be occurred on your website. Okay, so but the technique will be same. So now in this video, basically we have learned what are WebSockets, what is the difference between an HTTP request and a WebSocket, and how we create a WebSocket server, and then we have created a client that is communicating with our server. Okay, so I hope that this video will be helpful for you. If you have any question, you can ask us in the comment section. We will try to answer your question, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel for our regular videos. And finally, thanks for watching.